So now that we all know that the hottest thing you can do for yourself is learn how to regulate your nervous system, let's learn, shall we? Let's learn. So here's my credentials. I grew up in a very emotionally, psychologically, physically dysregulated environment. And I've gone to a lot of fucking therapy to heal that and workshop that and overcome that. And also just done a lot of my own personal growth and development on the side that I think has kind of fast tracked that growth and development. So, number one, with learning how to self regulate your nervous system and your emotions and all that fun stuff, is becoming more aware of your body's cues and in kind of its physical manifestations, but also internal manifestations, like ones that you can physically see and feel and hear, and other ones that you maybe might not be as visible. So, for instance, like with anxiety. Sometimes people have anxiety and they don't even know they have anxiety, and you may have anxiety and might not know that this anxiety is manifesting or showing up in different ways because you're not used to listening to your body's cues. And if you're on medication for your anxiety or your depression, that makes it even harder to recognize those cues from your body because you're taking medication to suppress those cues, right? So some example cues could be like shaking in the legs, stuttering in your words, heart palpitations, like your heart racing and beating really fast, sweating, shaking in your hands, fidgeting with certain things, tons of different stuff. And like if you're getting uncomfortable around certain people and anxious, that could look like fidgeting with your hands, fidgeting with the way that you're sitting in a chair, externalizations of this internal emotion of, ooh, I'm uncomfortable, I don't like this, I need to like abort mission, I need to get out of here. And then you can kind of suppress those emotions in the way that you choose to address them or not address them. Like if you're trying to suppress the emotion of, I'm uncomfortable with the people that I'm hanging out with, what they're saying is making me feel uncomfortable, victimized, targeted, misunderstood, angsty and anxious in some way, shape, or form. That can manifest as physically being angsty and like fidgety and just like not wanting to participate in the conversation or interaction in general, and just wanting to like flee and get out and abort mission and be gone and done with it. Those are all cues from your body of like your nervous system being dysregulated. And also like your body trying to tell you something. And I think our nervous systems run into dysregulation when we are constantly, chronically ignoring its, physical, external, and internal cues. Like it could be something as simple as emotional cues, like you don't have to be physically anxious and jittery and just like obviously uncomfortable to be uncomfortable, to feel uncomfortable, to feel unwelcome, to feel out of place, to feel like you want to leave and you want to get out of whatever space and environment you're engaging in. And like this goes both ways. In the negative sense, obviously, we ran through all of those, but also in the positive sense, like your body will give you cues when you're in an environment that's safe, when you're in an environment where you can be yourself and you don't have to worry about that. You can say what you want, do what you want, be who you want, and you don't have to worry about being judged or being perceived. And, that's just going to show up as emotionally being more calm and more at ease and just like questioning less, about your relationships and just like overthinking less, fidgeting less, worrying less, and it's just going to be like an unconscious thing. And so it's hard to be aware of because these are all things, in our nervous system that we've been like conditioned through society and through educational institutions to not be aware of, to suppress and ignore, not tend to, not listen to. Like, you know, as boys, boys are told, boys don't cry, men don't cry, suppress your emotions. Women are told, oh, stop being so emotional, stop getting your emotions wrapped into it. But we're emotional creatures, both male and female, everything in between and beyond. We're emotional creatures. That's what makes us who we are. And the only way to really truly be who you are and tend to who you are and take care of who you are is to listen to and tend to your emotions, because that's part and parcel very much of who you are, who we are, how we operate, how we communicate, how we engage with each other and build community and support each other. It's all through emotion and feelings. And I think that's the only way to honestly, truly navigate this life and live it in a way that's fulfilling and valuable to you. And I think that's why it's valuable to capitalism and the patriarchy and misogyny to suppress those feelings and those emotions and separate them from who we are as people and paint it as a black and white binary where you don't have to, you can be who you are without being your emotions. Not really true. Not really true. Your emotions are signs and signals of how your body emotionally, psychologically, physically, and how your soul is reacting and responding to your environment. And if you address those things, if you listen to those cues, I'm sure you'll live a very happy and fulfilled, wonderful life. And if you ignore those cues, you know, I'm sure the opposite's going to happen. It's going to be pretty unfulfilling and pretty unhappy. And so the challenge then is, once you become aware of your emotions, is how to exist and not let them run the show. So one of my favorite ways that my therapist conceptualizes this for me is like and I'm sure you guys have maybe heard this before, it's the bus theory analogy where you're on a school bus, imagine you're on a school bus, and you yourself, who you imagine to be, like your core self, your core identity, your core consciousness, you are the bus driver. And then everyone else on the bus are all of your different emotions. So think how they would show up in the movie Inside Out. Fear, disgust, happiness, anger, jealousy, whatever. And they're all on the bus and they're all causing a ruckus and all speaking their minds and speaking their voices. And you can let anxiety get in your ear, yapping away, telling you where to go, telling you how to do things. And you can let anxiety take over. You can let anxiety direct you and tell you where to go. You can let anxiety take the wheel for all you care. Or you can tell anxiety, shut up, get to the back of the bus. This is my bus. I'm driving the bus and I'm determining where we're going. So shut up and get back to your seat, anxiety. We don't need to hear any more out of you. And on the flip side, you can also let other more positive emotions and experiences show up in heightened ways. And you can choose to listen to those emotions and those experiences more than the negative ones. It's almost like in conversation. You can choose, when you're in a group conversation, you can kind of choose who you're engaging with and how you engage with them and what you're saying. And you can kind of steer and navigate the conversation in a way that, you know, is beneficial to you. And you can do that with also yourself and your emotions and the different parts of you that show up, you know. And if the bus analogy doesn't work, another great analogy that my therapist uses is the parts analogy, where anxiety, happiness, fear, guilt, resentment, shame, all of those different feelings and emotions are all just part and parcel of you. They're just one part. They're just a part. They're not the part. They're not the majority. They're not the defining part. Only if you let them be. But they're just a part. And you can just view them as part and parcel of who you are and this experience and how your body is trying to communicate with you. Is this environment safe? Is it not safe? Are these people welcoming and kind? Are they harsh and judgmental? Do they get me? Do they not get me? All those different feelings and emotions are cues and indicators of where to go in this life and who to surround yourself with and what work to pursue, what career path to pursue. And it's crazy to me that, and honestly, it's not. The fact that I've done a poli-sci degree and I understand the inner workings of this society on an institutional and almost philosophical level, it makes so much sense that we are trained to suppress our emotions and our feelings and not listen to them, because that's what makes us weak and confused and misguided and misunderstood and lost and easy to manipulate at the end of the day. When you don't know who you are and you don't know what makes you happy or what makes you sad, on a deep physiological level, when you don't know that shit about yourself and you don't know how to control those things about yourself, how to deal with them, how to sit with them, how to process them, how to live and carry on with them, that's when capitalism gets you. That's when misogyny and the patriarchy gets you. When you're weak and you don't know who you are, or you don't like who you are, and you don't know how to sit with the darker parts of who you are. We're told that all the uncomfortable things that we feel and experience in this lifetime, we can solve and fix with something external to us. And that's the problem. That's the issue. That's the core issue. That whatever anguish, turmoil, anxiety, depression, whatever it is, whatever name you want to put on the uncomfortable emotions that you experience, I guarantee you our modern day life society has concocted some pill, some prescription, some cocktail of something to take to solve whatever it is about your body that is simply a cue, simply a message from your internal organizing system of hey, something's wrong. Hey, I can't speak. I'm trying to tell you something. And we take all these external things to numb that voice, to silence that voice, to quiet that voice, and all those cues that come along with it. If you have anxiety, just take a pill. Just take, whatever this prescription man-made drug is to deal with your anxiety. You got tremors, you got shakes, you're sweating, your heart's racing, you're having anxiety attacks. Just take a pill for the rest of your life. Just take this random, unknown substance concoction down your throat, in your system every single day to suppress all these cues that your body's trying to give you, all these messages your body's trying to give you. And you'll be good. You'll live a happy life. Let's just suppress the core root of the problem, sweep it under the rug, and never have to think about it or talk about it again. Until something triggers you, until you forget to take your meds, until shit hits the fan and your dosage isn't enough to deal with whatever the fuck's going on in your life. And then you're shit out of luck. You're really gonna let something so external to you dictate the level of pleasure and happiness and peace and ease that you experience in this lifetime? I'm sorry, what? You're gonna let Big Pharma be at the hands of your health and wellness, well-being and happiness? That is just such a fucked up conception of health and wellness to me. And this is not to say that I haven't had anxiety. This is not to say that I haven't been depressed and suicidal and had my fair share of battles, okay? Because I have, so don't come for me. I just figured out how to deal with them in a healthier way. I don't know how else to put it. Like, don't get me wrong, I had my unhealthy habits, and I probably still do, but to a way lesser degree than what they were. Like, I can truthfully, happily, honestly say that I am content. I am at peace with who I am and where I'm at in this life. And I should have been able to say that at any point in my life. But before now, I was never at a point where I truly believed that, where I could truly recognize all that I had done for myself and how far I had come. And that's taken a lot of fucking work. It's taken a lot of work to get to where I am. So don't think that this is something that can come overnight. It's not. However, it is something where you can see and feel immediate benefits in a way. Okay, so let's just walk through 5 steps. This is what Copilot told me, okay? When I asked on 5 easy steps for beginners to learn how to regulate their nervous system. And this is an easy way, like if you're really struggling where to get started with like health and wellness, mental health, and just like self-development in general, Google is such a great free research tool, service. Like, you have to be selective with what you take from it and learn from it, but like there's so much out there. You just have to be wanting to learn and wanting to try and wanting to change. Okay, so let's run through them. Number 1, it says to do deep breathing exercises. Meditation. Oh, that's the next one. Okay, deep breathing exercises, totally different. Separate thing from mindfulness meditation, okay? That's number 2. Number 3, physical activity. Physical activity. That should be number 1 on the list. Number 4, progressive muscle relaxation, which is just another form of mindfulness meditation. And then 5, grounding techniques. Also another form of meditation. But if the word meditation just like turns you off entirely, don't associate it with meditation. You'll get there. If sitting still in one spot for like, an extended period of time is not your jam, maybe start with like guided meditation. Start with walking meditations. Okay, wait, before I even get into what you should be doing for meditations, let's start with the preface of what meditation is, or how meditation will help you to regulate your nervous system. Yes, let's connect it to the bigger picture here. Okay, so meditation helps with regulating your nervous system because it forces you to actually tune into your body's thoughts and feelings and reactions, streams of consciousness. It allows you to shut everything else off that's like going on around you and just like exist and let your stream of consciousness flow and see what comes up and just observe it. Don't get absorbed into it. Try not to like go down the rabbit hole, mental thought tangent loop of like, our brains are like trained to always have something on the go. And so if you've never meditated before, the suffix of meditation, suffix, prefix, I don't fucking know. The point of meditation is to turn off your brain and to focus on your breath, to just like silence your mind and give your mind and your subconscious mind a break from thinking and processing. So when you do that, when you force your mind to be quiet, especially at the beginning, your stream of consciousness will still flow. Your mind will find things to think of, whether it's what you need to add to the grocery list, what homework or work project you still need to do, or that matching sweatsuit you really wanted to buy that just dropped on pre-sale, whatever the concert tickets, anything. It's going to pop up, flow into your mind. And like beyond that, things about relationships, things from the past, anxious worries about the future. All those things are going to flow into your consciousness, and you just kind of have to let them flow in and flow out. Be like, okay, yep, and I'll think about that later. Okay, yep, sure, and I'll think about that later. I'm focusing on my breath now. And every single time a thought comes through, you just observe it, kind of take mental record in a way, but like not in a way where it's held on to like at the forefront of your mind. You're just gonna be like, okay, yep, cool, and we're not thinking about it anymore, and we're back to our breath. And then 5-10 seconds later, you might be thinking about something else where you have to do the same thing. And at the beginning, it's a constant mental battle of like retraining your focus to focus on your breath. But through that continuous, consistent practice of like shutting your brain off, shutting it up, and focusing on your breath, you're consistently training your body and your mind and your nervous system to not let external thoughts, external realities, fears, anxieties, deadlines to impose on like your internal state of well-being and peace. And so even if it's 5 minutes a day, like really honestly not that long, take it out of your scrolling time. You're going to be so much better off by just taking the 5 minutes to focus on your breath and calm your mind. You're going to get up feeling so much better. And you may not even feel it, but you will be emotionally stronger and more resilient. Because if you can do that, if you can sit for 5 minutes and just like focus your mind and attention on one thing that is peaceful and chill and just like unproblematic, you can do that in your everyday life. You can do that anywhere, anytime. When someone at work is pissing you off, when you're already late for something and the baristas at the coffee shop are taking an extra long time, the person in front of you has a really big order, when you miss the bus or the bus hits a puddle and you get soaked in street water, like so many things can happen in our external reality that shifts our, nervous system and our ability to self-regulate. It can shift it, it can threaten it, and you can let those problems, issues in your external reality dictate your emotional well-being. You can let that puddle be the bane of your existence and be the start of the worst day of your life. Or you can just let it be. You can just let it be like a one-odd off chance, an unlucky day, a blessing in disguise. Like it all depends on how you frame it. And when you get better at training your nervous system to just be like at chill, at ease, very chill, very at peace all the time, or like, I don't know, just consistently every single day, it gets so much easier to have control over your emotional regulation system when you're faced with conflict and challenge and stress and strife. And so when you are faced with it in the day-to-day and you don't have time to like go on a whole guided meditation walk or sit in your meditation room, whatever, just do a deep breathing exercise. Just bring it back to your breath. When, like in lifeguarding, when people were hyperventilating, at first they told us to like have them breathe into a paper bag. That was like the old method. And then a few years went by and they were like, actually, that's really not good. And it leads to like more adverse outcomes. So we're going to do pursed lip breathing. And the way that we were taught was for people to, sit with their knees up against a wall, arms over their knees, upright, very clear, straight airway system. Like you don't want them to be slouched over. You want to have their airway open, right? And then encourage them to do pursed lip breathing, where you're breathing in through your nose, out through a straw. Or was it in and out through a straw? I think it was in through your nose and out through your mouth like a straw. Anyways, that was just like the first example of like, if someone's freaking the fuck out, focus on your breath. Focus on your breath, and that's what's going to get you to calm down. That's what's going to bring you back to the center moment and remind you, like, yo, you're still breathing. You're still here. The earth is still spinning. It is not that deep. It's not that deep. And you have the power to not let it be that deep. And then, to throw some little science in there for you, you could go beyond just focusing on your breath in those times of stress and anxiety. And you can activate your parasympathetic nervous system, which I have no idea what the actual meaning of is. Let's look it up. Okay, it's a network of nerves that helps the body relax and perform vital functions, also known as the rest and digest system. It slows the heart, increases digestion, dilates blood vessels, constricts pupils and air passageways, stimulates salivary gland, okay, and does a whole bunch of other shit. Anyways, you can activate the parasympathetic nervous system by inhaling for doing square breathing, where you inhale for 4 seconds and then you hold it for 4 seconds and then you exhale for 4 seconds and then you hold it for 4 seconds, and then you do the same thing over and over again. And it's like you're drawing a square with your breath. Inhaling, holding, exhaling, holding. Inhaling, holding, exhaling, holding. And just do that, 5 seconds. 5 seconds. 5 times. You can do each inhale, each exhale for as, little or as long as you please. But that is going to activate your parasympathetic nervous system and just get you to calm down. Relax, chill. And the more that you practice that and the more that you engage in it, the more it's going to become just like your default method of operation. Like, that's just how you're going to be functioning by default. Okay, and then third that Copilot gave me was physical activity. Obviously, because it releases endorphins and calms the nervous system. But I think on a deeper level, like, when you engage in physical training on a consistent basis, like I'm talking daily, I'm talking 4 or 5 times a week, whether it's yoga or Pilates or weightlifting or running, you are consistently challenging your mind and your thoughts and your emotions, and you're staying disciplined. And every single time that you encounter the thought of, oh, I don't want to be doing this right now. Oh, I don't have time for this. I'm not strong enough to keep going. I'm not strong enough to put on that extra plate or increase the weight or do another rep, do another set. Every single time that you challenge those anxious disbeliefs about yourself and you do it anyways, you're building so much internal strength and resilience, whether you know it or not. And that moves through you in every single thing that you do. It moves through you in setting boundaries with people. It moves through you in how you respond to your emotional cues and how you protect yourself and love yourself and how hard you work for your hopes and your dreams. When you're consistently pushing yourself and challenging yourself and receiving physical confirmation of yes, you're capable of doing hard things. Yes, you're capable of pushing yourself and achieving things beyond what you think is possible. That's just when the world of possibilities open up, because nobody can tell you that you can't. You can't even tell you that you can't, because you have a whole history, a whole record of all the times that you thought you couldn't and you could. All the times you said you couldn't, you weren't able to, and you did. And so why is this time any different than the last hundreds of thousands of times? It's not. And the more and more that you challenge yourself and you get better at challenging yourself and pushing yourself and just being the best version of yourself that you could ever possibly be, the more frequently that you do that and engage in that, the easier it is to stick with it, the easier it is to see that and acknowledge that and keep trudging forward and not let anyone else's thoughts, beliefs, comments, values impede on you and your ability to do what you want and live this life how you want and be who you want. Nothing external to you has any bearing on how you view yourself and how you experience this life, because Nobody else has your experience. Nobody else has your point of view. Nobody else knows it like you do. Nobody has been through what you've been through. And so nobody can tell you that you're doing it wrong or you're doing it right or you're going to succeed or you're going to fail. They don't know you and they're not you. And the more that you engage in physical exercise, where you're physically pushing yourself beyond your mental constraints and limits, I think the easier it is to get into this confident headspace of, you can't fuck with me. I'm unfuckwittable. I'm chilling because of who I am, because of all that I know, because of all that I do, because of the way that I make people feel, because of the way I treat people, because of how hard I work, because of how intuitive I am. Whatever your best qualities may be, you know them best out of anyone in this world. You know them best, and you can get to know them best by physically challenging yourself and pushing yourself every single day and building physical strength in your muscles in your body, which in turn manifests as emotional and psychological strength and power and resilience. Okay, 2 more out of the list from Copilot to go through. Progressive muscle relaxation. This is a form of meditation, I believe. I mean, it could be. It could also not be. I guess you could make it meditation by just like focusing on your breath while you're doing this, and not make it meditation by just focusing on relaxing your muscles. You know, anything that calms thoughts about this external reality and like stressors and anxieties, I think can classify, in my book at least, as meditation. So whatever, call it whatever you want. Progressive muscle relaxation is where you focus on certain groups of parts of your body and deliberately tense them up and relax them. Tense them up and relax them. And I think it's really good because I know I personally carry so much stress in my shoulders. So sometimes it's helpful to feel and like actually see the binary between like what tense muscles are and what relaxed muscles are, because it helps me realize how tense my muscles are just like on the regular, without even consciously knowing it or being aware of it. And so then that kind of helps you realize like, this is what tense muscles feel like. This is what relaxed muscles and body feels like. And then being able to differentiate the two helps with moving away from tense muscles and moving towards relaxed muscles in your day-to-day, everyday experiences and just like life. And obviously this has to come from being more aware of your body and your emotions and how those cues manifest and what you do about them. You know, like with my tense shoulders, they're not going to be solved in any way unless I address the root problem of the tension, which is like stress and anxiety, and mainly those two, you know, which I address through meditation and journaling and just like consistent awareness of my body. When I notice my shoulders are really tense, I consciously, actively work on relaxing them and bringing them down my back and not holding so much in my shoulders. But before I was aware of that tension that I would hold in my shoulders and aware of the power that I had to relax my shoulders and not hold that tension in my shoulders, I went around everyday life holding so much tension and baggage in my shoulders to the point where like my traps would be fucking huge. And I'd go and get massages and they'd be like, what the fuck is in your back? And I'm like, I don't know, just generations, ancestors worth of trauma that I, was somehow chosen to work through and process for all the generations to come. I don't know. I didn't choose this life. It chose me. So yeah, that's a really good one. Copilot says to start from your toes and work your way up to your head, focusing on the sensation of relaxation. I've been talking for too long. So yeah, and just focusing on that relaxation. I need to stop saying it. And just carrying that with you through your day to day, trying to achieve that same level of like peace and ease in everything that you do. And then lastly, grounding techniques. We're going to try and get through this before my camera dies again. Copilot says you can use grounding techniques to anchor yourself in the present moment. So, for example, you can identify 5 things that you can see, touch, hear, smell, taste. This is 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. And those are all just great ways of like getting in tune with your bodily sensations, bringing you back to the present moment and being like, hey, it's not that deep. We're in the here, we're in the now, we're in the present moment, and it's chill. It's okay. It's fine. So what if they're freaking? So what if I want to freak? We're chill. We're chill. I can smell something, I can taste something, I can hear something, and I feel like that's also a really great opportunity for gratitude. Because like if you can hear, smell, touch, taste, you got all your 5 senses. You're chilling. You're chilling. Life's not as bad as you think. Like, if you can still see, you can still hear, you can still taste, like, you're not, knock on wood, these people are life's most silent and underrated warriors. There's people that are paralyzed. There's people that are blind. There's people that are deaf. You do not have it that bad. You don't. I guarantee you don't. And so focusing on gratitude, focusing on grounding yourself, bring yourself back to your breath, bring yourself back to the present moment, bring yourself back to like, hey, I have control over relaxing myself. I have control over what I focus on. I don't have to let this be the end all be all. I can focus on my breath, I can chill, and I can move forward and work through it. I am a strong, capable, intelligent person who knows what's best for me and is going to do what's best for me. And if you know that and believe that and trust in yourself and stay consistent with these practices, you will be well on your way to having a very regulated nervous system and, living your best life because of that. So without further ado, thanks for listening. Bye.